Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya wal Mursaleen. This is Mujib Qazi, and you're watching Point of View from Srinagar. I'm joined by a very senior Kashmiri leader, Altaf Qadri Saab, who is based in Dallas, Texas, but he keeps a close eye on the situation that is happening in Srinagar. He is originally from that part of the valley. Currently, we have seen a surge in civilian killing on ground, and that has worrisome Kashmiris, particularly those who are living outside of Kashmir. This is not something that we propagate, and this is not something that we advocate for. And this is a counterproductive for the movement of freedom of Kashmir. And who is doing it? Why is it happening? All of a sudden, that why this violence and killing of innocent people have started to undermine the freedom movement that Kashmiris have been propagating for so many years. Qadri sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Let's start off with these 28 killings that took place in the very recent days in Kashmir. World has been talking about it. And the sad part is that this time they have targeted people of all communities to create a rift between the communities who have been living together harmoniously for centuries. How do you read this whole situation?
It's very unfortunate, of course, but at the same time, you have to look at it, why these killings are basically taking place and what do they want to achieve out of it. Basically, first of all, we must be very clear about one thing, that the killings are taking place there, either being carried out by Pakistan through its design, through its people, or by India through its own people. Now, why do they do it? They do it, they will never give you any such opportunity to Kashmiris where they could get an empowerment. These are basically meant to disempower Kashmiris. Otherwise, I mean, an innocent killing, but there are two types of killings at the same time. You have to separate the two killings. One part of killing was where uh, legitimate Kashmiris were targeted, and the other part of the killings were the Indian laborers or Indian citizens were targeted. I understand. I can wrap my head around the fact that why Kashmiris are basically so scared. There is a state of nervousness and insecurity being created by Government of India through abrogation of Article 370 and 35A, and which is clearly signaling to people of Kashmir that they are going to press on with the demographic change. And when you are at that state where you are being basically threatened, your identity is being threatened, your political identity is being threatened, and your livelihood is being threatened, and there is a quite it happens all around the world where people are being kicked out of their houses, then they bring in the people from their country. So all these things have a different dimension. But the killings that were purely being carried against the people of Kashmir, local people of Kashmir, those killings are basically meant to disempower people of Kashmir. It is not, I know, I mean, in which one Kashmiri Pandit was innocent Kashmiri Pandit was killed, which is very, very lamentable and regrettable. And another was the Sikh lady, that principal, and another was the local. So that has a different dimension. But the dimension then, when they carried out it against Indian laborer or any Indian one. So the Government of India and the world must understand that the Kashmiris have been thrown to the wall, whereby their livelihood is in danger, their political identity, their property, their politics all together, their society is about to be disturbed. Whether they can do it or not, there's a different story. But these are two different killings. One is highly lamentable. The another killing is that their responsibility, the Indians who are being killed, be it that Pani Puri wala or any laborer, that killing straight away falls on the shoulders of Amit Shah, Modi, and Ajit Doval, because these are the three people who have created such a situation in Kashmir.
Well, how this insurgency or the killing of innocent people is going to serve. Number one, you had mentioned in the beginning of your statement that either it's Pakistan behind it or India. I mean, what is the interest of Pakistan? Pakistan has its own hands full right now. They're facing terrorism inside the country, and Prime Minister have uh, vehemently said it many times that he would not allow anybody to use his territory for insurgency anywhere, any part of the world. He has been a proponent of peace. So at this time, why would you think that it will serve to the betterment or to the narrative of Pakistan if that was the case? And why would India do it? What narrative would serve them if India is behind this, creating this mess in the region? So I just need to understand the objective behind what is it that they're trying to accomplish, both of them.
You see, in Kashmir, unfortunately, it is a big game of the intelligence agencies. Indian intelligence agencies are there in maybe more than 20 intelligence organizations are working there. At the same time, Pakistani intelligences are there. I'm not, I mean, I can understand their point of view. I can understand their position because it's an area where their security concerns are. So they are to be there. We understand that. But why do they do it? You see, in the region, what happened actually after the fall of Afghanistan, the balance of power tilted towards Pakistan. Let's be honest. India was basically shunned out of Afghanistan. So I won't believe that they would not try to do again. They try to gain some foothold some way back in Afghanistan. But at the same time, right now, the balance of power in the region has shifted between India and Pakistan towards Pakistan. So they sometimes these organizations have to communicate. These killing a Kashmiri sometimes is a means. It becomes a means of communication between ISI and RAW or IB. And sometimes the IB does something in Afghan in Lahore or in Karachi or in Islamabad. Some untoward incident takes place, or the killings of those innocent school children in Peshawar. What was that? That was basically these intelligence agencies communicate each other, and they try to show the extent of their grip in the situation in respective countries. So that is one purpose, how they communicate to each other. But in that situation, when that situation pops up, so these people, the innocent people, become the target of their communication. I mean, this has been happening in Kashmir for a long time. Otherwise, I have not any individual killing that took place in Kashmir. They were not. They don't kill them. First of all, I must tell you also. I want to make it sure to the people of Kashmir also that they don't kill them. In Pakistan, doesn't carry out any individual killing just because they are Indians or they are not for the movement. It's not. They don't kill them just because of that. Indians do not kill Kashmiris just because they are working with Pakistan or they are Pakistanis. It's not. It's not a true narrative it's not a true picture of the situation. The true picture of the situation is when these killings take place. First, they disempower Kashmiris. They create a scare. Nobody can have an independent and free thinking in Kashmir. That is very dangerous for both the countries. Number two, if they were killed just because they were Indians, then Mahbuba Mufti is openly Indian, Farooq Abdullah is openly Indian, Umar Abdullah is openly Indian, Sajad Lone is openly Indian. All these people have been this way or the other way at times accorded state honor by Pakistan. And similarly, then the Hurriyat is there, all other people are there. They have not been targeted. Umar Farooq is sitting there. And that is not, that is basically they just try to control you. They have to control you. How would they control otherwise? They have to do something spectacular so that the Kashmiris cannot have an open mind or free thinking.
In the context of this recent surge in the insurgency, who is the beneficiary? You refer to the Afghan situation where Pakistan has upper hand because of this outcome that came from the war of almost 20 years in Afghanistan. And from very first day, India, the entire media started propagating that now the next war zone would be Kashmir. And we have seen very many speeches, press conferences, interviews by Imran Khan of Pakistan that he would not allow his territory to be allowed, and he would not expect anyone else to do the same. So he has been very adamant about that. But counter to his narrative, India has been propagating the otherwise. They have been, claiming that this is going to happen in Kashmir, and some people are of the opinion that this killing was designed, orchestrated by the Indian intelligence agencies to undermine the freedom movement, not from Pakistan side. I'm not saying that I don't have any proof not to say that Pakistan was not involved, but what I'm saying is that if you connect the dots, the propaganda that was staged right after the fall of Afghanistan and series of events that took place until today, it all as if it was scripted and played out exactly the way they wanted it to be.
I don't think in India, one thing I can tell you that if I were Director General ISI, I would spend billions of dollars what Modi, Amit Shah, and Ajit Doval is doing. I would honestly tell you, I would spend billions of dollars. No great leader would ever want his country to be divided. The basic purpose of a great leader is to keep his country together, thick and thin. But things are quite obvious. What it is India. They have reduced India to an ethical democracy. It is an ethnic democracy now. It is no more a democracy. What they are doing, they are. I tell you honestly, if I were a Director General ISI, I would spend billions of dollars for what Modi, Amit Shah, and Ajit Doval is doing. So don't think sometimes if they do something stupid thing, they do it just because against Pakistan. They do it because I have never seen in my whole conscious life, political conscious life, I have never seen Pakistan so much controlling political landscape of India as it is today.
Really?
What do they have? Pakistan is practically, I tell you honestly, Pakistan can decide the prime minister. Pakistan can decide to defeat any prime minister in India today. That is the grip that Pakistan has on India, Indian polity. Pakistan was never so powerful as it is today in Indian political landscape. So don't think that these, I'm happy. I keep on writing on social media, but I have never written a single word against Modi. I have always at the end prayed for his longer tenure. I want him to serve India at least for 50 more years. Because after 15 more years, he is going to do a great service. 1.22 billion people will be freed. Go and read the index of, look their economic index, social index, political index, look at their corruption index, I have just got a book being written by one of the scholars. It's on my table. I didn't finish it yet, but I read the synopsis of it on my foreign affairs journal. Look at where is India today. You think they are just clamoring? They are just clamoring. They are not what they are. The
Very
greatest
interesting
self
analysis.
produces.
Very interesting analysis. And I'm intrigued by some of the analysis that you have presented. I'm going to, in the last 10 minutes, I'm going to digress a little bit about uh, the situation that there was a statement by the Federal Minister of India stating that Dubai has signed a memorandum of understanding or maybe an agreement with India to invest billions of dollars. Obviously, the number was not shared, but it is at the verge of signing an agreement, or the agreement have been signed, where Dubai is going to invest billions of dollars on the infrastructure, IT towers, hospitals, schools. What interest Dubai has in Kashmir, and why Kashmir without the will and the permission of people of Kashmir?
To be very honest, I have not been able to wrap my head around this, what Dubai is doing and why they are doing. But I don't doubt their intentions. If they
Hmm.
invest in Kashmir, is a very welcome sign. We should appreciate it because it will ease out the people lives of the people. It can create avenues. It can create jobs and all that. It will bring a betterment and joy in Kashmiri's life. So let us not look at it through a prism of suspicion.
Hmm.
But uh, but I know right now, as you know, the world is in the form of shaping its own positions right now. Things are completely fluxing in multiple directions. I think in future I can imagine quite clearly that Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar, Doha, these countries will have a very prominent role to play in the resolution of Kashmir. I can see that, and I think Pakistan should be. If I would give them this advice that they should not react, they should move forward with a positive mind. If at all they approach to them. But I can tell you one thing. I see a role being played by Saudi Arabia and Dubai in the resolution of Kashmir dispute, and that is a very welcome sign. Will they succeed or will they succeed? I don't know, because if I would be honest, the track record of India, it has a dispute with China for 40 years, no progress. It has a dispute with Pakistan for 70 years, no progress. It has a dispute with 30 years with Assamese, no progress. It has a dispute with 23 years negotiations only with Nagas, no progress. It has a dispute with Bangladesh, border dispute with Bangladesh, no progress. So all these things are quite clear that something is Indians, sensible Indians need to ponder upon these things. That this is not the age they are living in bygone years. The new era, the new, if they want really a progress and a peace around, so they will have to change their mindset, because as I told you, I mean, these are indicators why Kashmiris are not also engaging with India. This is one of the things that, because last time I was watching one interview of a Naga leader. He was crying. That man was crying. He was finally rendered and obsolete in his own politics. They engaged him 23 years, and after 23 years they told him nothing. They started with sovereignty, then they reduced it to the constitution and flag and constitution. Then they told them at the end, after 23 years, they told him that, well, we have taken this away from Kashmiri, so how can we give it to you now? So that's all.
So, as Kashmiris, you think that it's a good sign that foreign investment is coming, and foreigners are coming who are settling in Kashmir and changing the demography of Kashmir and taking away the properties and the land that was otherwise was supposed to have been only for Kashmiris. Are you okay with that?
No, I'm not okay with demographic change.
Hmm.
And I tell you,
Would that not? I mean, they would use this business development, and then they will use this as a guise to bring in the people from outside, telling the world that these are the professionals who are coming out there developing this IT infrastructure, and then they will end up giving them state subject, end up giving them residency, and end up giving them, housing and the land, and they will settle there. And then the promises of the world where they keep talking about that the Kashmiri need to have this plebiscite and the referendum. And when that happens, the demography would have already been changed, that the situation will never be in the favor of Kashmiris.
you see, first of all, I can really, I mean, I can assure you, I can produce a book of 1,000 pages
Hmm.
on this subject, on demographic change. I have studied it long. Uh, Demographic change is never going to happen in Kashmir. It will never succeed. It is a delusion, is a fascist delusion, because it is an idea being prepared and hatched in the offices of RSS.
RSS, okay.
So they are just trying to carry it forward. It is never going to happen in Kashmir. Demographic change is, it's not a house. It's not a house that is the connection. I live in Kashmir. I have connection. Kashmiri Pandits have been, whether they have been kicked out or whether they left by themselves, whatever the circumstances, they are out of Kashmir. They have the connection. They keep on clamoring, fighting. Tell me, show me these 2, 3 people were killed, and these Indian people, they left. Do you think they have connection in Kashmir? Or do you think they will ever come back to Kashmir? It's not you are here living in America, but you have still a connection with Azad Kashmir. I have a connection. My kids don't have connection. My daughter is, I mean, die-hard Pakistani because she was born there. Pakistan is her Kashmir is Pakistan. My son, he was born here, raised here. He doesn't have any connection with Kashmir. Yeah, he will give me lip service. I like Kashmir and this and that all, but he doesn't have. It is not a house to build on the land. It is a connection with the land.
Hmm.
How is it going? At times in Germany, if you see in the Tsar's time, Germany at the last age of the Tsar, Germany was so much inundated by the Germans. The Russia was so much inundated by the Germans. There were 2, 3 newspapers published in Germany in German language. But when Tsar was defeated, the communist regime took over. Where are they today?
Hmm.
In your country, in America, there was one newspaper was published in German language here after 43. Where is that newspaper today? It's a delusion, these are delusion. If you read a book, Eye on the Gates, read that book and see what Israeli intelligentsia is talking about. They are telling people that we are producing an abnormal society now, and that is
So,
what India is doing again now. They are.
I mean, Qadri Sahib, I really want to understand and learn about the demographic change, and that is an illusion that is being created. That's a news to me, and I would like to have a separate show on that subject with you, inshallah, sometime when you are available. Last questions. Why Kashmiris are not seen to be very active? I'm talking about the Kashmiri diaspora in the world. They're number one. They're not. This is the last question, and you can take as much time as you like to elaborate on this one. Number one, they're not united. Number two, they don't have one united narrative that they can propagate to take it to the world. When they go out there and meet the people of the power corridors, every one of them have their own agenda. Every one of them have their own narrative for Kashmir. People who are decision makers, people who can consider thinking about it, are confused. Who should they talk to? Number one, why there has not been a concerted effort by the Kashmiri diaspora to come on one platform for the sake of Kashmir cause, give up your uh, ego of being the sole leader, so-called the sole leader of the Kashmiri representation. Come up with one narrative, and then let's take the movement to the next level. Why has that not happened? And do you see that happening in the near future?
It's a very, very important, complicated, and you have to have a, you got to have a very dispassionate opinion and dispassionate uh, power to listen. Suppose I tell you, Kashmiris are divided. They are divided. One group is somehow connected with India because they are scared. They have to go back homes and their houses could be impounded and all that. I can understand that. Then the other group is being propped up by Pakistan. They keep on telling them to go ahead with this right of self-determination. Mujib bhai, I'm not going to waste my time for that, nonsense. Absolutely, I tell you, I'm sorry to say it, but it's a complete nonsense. And Pakistan knows it. It's not that Pakistan doesn't know it. I know what Pakistani opinion is about it. What is the understanding behind this whole thing? They want us to keep saying something very nonsensical that would make no sense and it would look like a jokers in the international world, so that they could talk the substance. I understand this. They want substance for themselves and nonsense for us. I'm not going to do it. I don't need money. I don't need anything from anybody. I will contribute, but I will not take from Kashmir. So this is why Kashmiris are divided here. Kashmiris are corrupt. There is no doubt about it. Kashmiris in America are corrupt. Kashmiris in London are corrupt. Kashmiris in Turkey are corrupt. Kashmiris in Brussels are corrupt. This is a problem. We have to recognize this problem. You can't change the fabric of reality. You may try to twist it for some time, but it will snap back. It will snap back into the position. So Kashmiris have to realize it. We don't have to work just for money. There are people dying, their own kids, their own relatives, their own people are dying for this. I will not become part of that crime. That is the only thing. If any Pakistani, any Kashmiri can convince me on your show that right of self-determination is workable, I will join you right away. Number one. Number two, historically, what is right of self-determination? What is UN resolutions? What has it served? It has served, to me, it appears, right of self-determination, those people who play for this narrative, who are ardent supporters of this narrative, are those people who say Kashmir is an integral part of India. They are the same people. Now I will tell you, it's a very loaded word I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Be it Gilani, he's as good as anybody is saying it is an integral part of India. Be it Umar Farooq, if he says right of self-determination, Yasin Malik says right of self-determination, or this UN resolution, it is as good as you are helping India. I don't want to be part of that. Now you may ask me how. Let me explain you how. Right of self-determination means, or the United Nations resolutions, whatever that is, that means you are asking for status quo. You maintain the status quo. That is what United Nations resolutions have done since 70 years. I want the status quo break off. I don't want status quo to maintain. When I could keep on saying this nonsense, self-determination and all that, it's not going to help me. It's an instrument for miseries.
I would have to stop it here because I'm running out of time. However, I do have this question that inshallah I would ask you on the next show. The United Nations have maintained the status quo of self-determination for 73 years. And their argument would be that because that was based on the world agreement, people of all nations come to an agreement. That's why we want to pursue that route. To change to change the status quo, we need that kind of a vigorous effort to bring the world on the same page. Hey guys, that's not going to work. Let's move on to the next step and break the ice and move on. What would be your suggestion to them?
Look, first of all, I don't give much of importance to United Nations, because the world, if you see the world, new formations, the United States, basically, if I will be very blunt and honest, the world United Nation is rendered useless by United States, because United States has a one single vote,
Hmm.
and China has a vote, so has Russia vote. America has realized this point, so that is why they are trying to bypass now this route, right? So they have a new alliance with India,
Hmm.
with Japan, with Thailand, with Australia. On the one side, on the other side, they have a new formation of Dubai, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. So the world is completely shifting. If you put all your eggs on the United Nations basket, it is going to break. I don't say Pakistan should give up on it.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that. Pakistan should say it, keep it, as long as that institution is there. It is good to keep hammering on that, but I don't think it is ever going to come into real light.
Qadri sahab, bahut shukriya. Thank you so much for